Greetings everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Unclear, and today I thought we'll take a look at Benny's video on the guide to loot tiers and weapons coming in the Edge of Fate. Now I wasn't able to go and play at Bungie. I'd love to though, that'd be fantastic. But I want to go through a few of these videos because I really want to get my head around how this is going to work. So when I'm streaming and offering guides and help, I have a decent understanding and can offer the right guidance. So let's jump into the video. It's broken down into weapon tiers, cosmetics, wasted stats, archetype, items, tuning slots, and set bonuses. And yeah, so there's quite a few changes. And this is a systematic overhaul of Destiny. And I honestly believe this is a fantastic way for new players to jump back in because everyone's sort of at the same level again. And a fantastic goal to strive for and to grind, because grinding 12 levels for a raid is nothing. It takes you, what, an afternoon? Now we have 4 days to grind 190 plus levels of gear and get ready for a raid. So there's a lot coming in Destiny with the Edge of Fate, so I'm looking forward to this. So let's jump into this video, and I'll share Benny's original video down below. So go show him some love, because fantastic content creator. Can't give him enough praise. Wait, I love the way he does his videos. So let's jump in.
Starting with weapons. We have 5 tiers of weapons in the Edge of Fate, each of which has an improvement over the previous tier. All of these are objective buffs and make the weapon stronger each tier. And at the highest tier, tier 5, we see some amazing cosmetic options, some of which are debuting for the first time in Destiny's history. But here's a quick visual comparison of a tier 1 weapon to a tier 5 weapon.
I'm just going to pause it, because I want to understand it, right? Because that's the way it's going to work. So we have tier 1 is like a randomly rolled world drop, or a randomly rolled gunsmith, crucible, whatever drop. There's going to be there's like 20 weapons. So tier 1, now you cannot enhance this yourself anymore. There's no option to enhance it anymore yourself. So either it will become enhanced or you won't get it enhanced. So this is pretty crazy. So we have no enhancements at all. And you go to tier 5, you have enhanced barrels, enhanced magazine perks, enhanced tier column 3, enhanced column 4, and enhanced origin traits. It's pretty crazy. Looks like you still have to upgrade the masterwork though, which I wish there was a way to just auto max it out.
As you can see, it's a night and day difference, and these tier 5 weapons are going to be the goal for any veteran Destiny 2 player. Of course, this is a comparison between the lowest and highest tier of weapon, so what comes in between these? Tier 1 weapons are entirely basic. You have a barrel, mag, 2 perks, a masterwork. There's nothing crazy here or out of the ordinary at all.
A decent weapon.
Moving up to tier 2 weapons, these will drop with pre-enhanced traits and function just like today's crafting.
Now we'll stop right here, because I want to something. I would put $1. I have a bag of $1. I have $1 here. Here we go. I have $1 in this bag. I don't know if you guys can see it. The camera is green screen. I have $1 in this bag. I'll bet $1 that most people will be running tier 2 and tier 3 weapons going into the raid. I honestly don't know, because this is what we kind of have now. We don't have the options of the good mods, but this is what we sort of have now. We don't have enhanced weapon perks like in the first and second column. We really only have enhanced second, third, and fourth columns. So that's really it. That's what we got. So we're looking at tier 2. We have tier 2 weapons. So yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Weapons too. Tier 3 weapons will have a third perk option for you to select from in both slots, as well as access to the all new enhanced mods.
Now, look at these mods down here. You have, this looks like, if I was to speculate, this one here, top half of the magazine does more damage. That's what I would speculate. This one here looks like it alternating fire. That's quite interesting. But yeah, look, tier 3 is kind of what we have with adepts. This would be an adept weapon. So I do believe adepts are technically better than crafted, because you have the 4 perk combos. Or this is a crucible when you rank it up enough times.
Tier 4 weapons will have enhanced traits,
enhanced barrels,
2 perk options to choose from, as well as enhanced barrels and magazines for the first time ever in D2. Tier 5 weapons will have all of the above. You'll get enhanced traits, 3 perk options to choose from in both slots.
Crazy.
You get enhanced barrels and magazines. You also get enhanced origin traits and then some sweet new cosmetics. Tier 5 weapons will be featuring a unique ornament just like our hollow foil and shiny weapons
we've
become accustomed to since Into the Light first introduced them. On top of that, Tier 5 weapons are also going to introduce an entirely new cosmetic slot for kill effects. Think in the mind of a sweaty confetti enjoyer, you no longer need to sacrifice your mod slot to use this. You can always run a new enhanced mod as well as a unique
That's going to be pretty cool.
I want to note that these tier 5 shiny ornaments are always animated, and if you apply a shader that you really like the color scheme of, like Jack Arena or something that has no animation, you will get that new color scheme and still keep the cool animated moving
That I like.
I personally love how much these tier 5 weapons have going for them and how much better they look, and I know I'll personally be grinding for all the best loot that the Edge of Fate has to offer. I showed a few examples in the video during the explanation, but if you'd like to see specific weapons and roles that are going to be available to chase in the Edge of Fate, I recommend you check out my Edge of Fate loot video that will be linked in the description below. You can also find this video on the Edge of Fate playlist if you'd like to open a tab and come back to it later. Now we've been through the different weapon tiers and what you can expect when you get a tier 1 to a tier 5 drop. It's time to take a look at the armor. There's also been a significant overhaul to the armor system in the Edge of Fate.
This is what I'm most excited
tier
for.
Tier 1 to tier 5 increasing quality system has been implemented.
Like, honestly.
However, it is much simpler on armor than it is on weapons. A huge change coming in the Edge of Fate will shake your world as a current Destiny build crafter, but take a deep breath, it's going to be okay. This might be a little hard to comprehend, so I'm going to use the most simple numbers I could find to showcase this. I touched on this briefly in my stats video, but as this video is gear specific, we're going to break it down in a little bit more detail. If we look at the weapon stat here and ignore the 86 points in the enhanced section, we have just a flat 100 weapons. These 100 points in the weapon stat give a 10% buff to reload and handling, so this gives us a nice easy round number to work with. Let's say, for example, we were stuck at an odd number like 69 weapons. In the old tiered system, which has existed for 11 years since year 1 all the way back in Destiny 1, you would have just rounded this down to 6 completed tiers and 9 wasted stats. This would have been a simple 6% buff to reload and handling and no benefit from the other 9 points.
Okay.
The way this is going to work starting in the Edge of Fate is that wasted stats actually don't exist, and instead you'd end up with a 6%
I really like that.
buff to handling
That is
and reload
fantastic.
speed, meaning those 9 stats are still benefiting you in some way. I love this change personally, and now that it's upon us, it's kind of crazy to me that they didn't implement this earlier, or we never questioned the tiered system we've always had before. I guess if it's all we've ever known, we don't really think about how much better the system could actually be. I find it really nice to know that every single point I have is going towards increasing my power and combat efficiency in some way. And although it may trigger your OCD to see those odd numbers in your build, I hope knowing your Guardian is more powerful as a result makes it a worthy trade-off to you. Also, if the whole 0 to 200 stat points and investing into an enhanced stat doesn't make that much sense to you right now, that's okay. We've put a ton of work into our Edge of Fate stats breakdown video, and I think it's a really detailed, well put together breakdown of the new system, which will be linked in the top right of the screen now, and you can also refer back to our dedicated Edge of Fate playlist. Now that we've passed that bombshell, let's get into the different tiers of armor. For armor, tier 1 to 4 simply determines how many stat points that piece of gear has. Tier 1 gear is pretty bad, and it progresses through tier 2 and tier 3 until you hit tier 4, which maxes out the stats.
I'm just going to pause it there. So, tier 5 is significantly better than what we have now. Tier 4 is high weapon armor slots we have now. Like, if you think, like, I don't keep any armor, it's below 67 stat points. So tier 4 is where most people who've been playing long enough will be sitting there now. Like, if my armor's not 67, 65, I'm not keeping it. Like, you're just not keeping it. So this is fantastic. So really, you're going to be here in terms of stat bonuses. Now there's other things he's going to talk about in a second, I guarantee it. But this is what was pretty crazy. This is the part I really wanted to see, where our current armor sits with the new armor. Because it is a form of soft sunsetting, but it's a soft sunsetting that I really enjoy. Because it gives me something... My other stuff's still useful, but it gives me a step above what I've currently got, right? That's fantastic. So the fact that most of my current gear sits at a tier 4 stat range is phenomenal. But thinking you're going to have between 73 and 75 stats, that is a monstrous number of stats.
Yeah, on a piece. There is a benefit of tier 5 gear, which we will get back to in a moment, but for now, I wanted to explain the new system of armor archetypes, what they each do, and what they mean. You may have seen some random keywords on gear in this footage, such as Gunner, Paragon, Grenadier, Brawler. So starting in the Edge of Fate, not only weapons, but armor pieces will actually have archetypes. As you can see, the archetype means the armor has 2 specific set stat spikes, a primary spike and a secondary spike.
Okay.
For example, you can see here the Paragon archetype has a primary spike in the super stat and a secondary spike in the melee stat. It's a pretty simple addition to the game, but I think it'll be a welcomed one when it comes to creating the correct build for you and really honing in on the customization. Another thing to note is that we will now have stats rolling on class items as a result of these archetypes.
Cool.
So you can grind for a specific one if you really want to bump out those stats. This does mean you'll have to grind new class items to get these new set stat spikes incorporated into your build, as they will not be retroactive apart from in one case. Quick side note on that one.
Okay. That is awesome to see. So I was always worried that the 4 gear points would either be armor, legs, gauntlets, and boots. I'm happy to know that the class items also incorporated.
One case, we pointed out to a dev that the community would probably be very unhappy if they had to regrind exotic class items for prismatic just so they could get the stats. We spoke to a dev and they actually confirmed that this would be made retroactive as a result, but only on the exotic class items.
That's fair.
You might have noticed that set bonuses are making a debut in Destiny after being requested for years, but we'll circle back to that in a moment.
Yeah.
I briefly mentioned that tier 5 gear will have an additional bonus over the already stat capped tier 4 armor, which brings us to the all new tuning slot.
Yeah.
On tier 5 gear, the maximum energy will now go up from 10 to 11, and it will have an entirely new slot called the tuning slot. Your gear is attuned to one specific stat that is random on a piece of gear, and this stat will be the one that is affected by the tuning slot.
Most elder abuse is hidden in plain sight. If you're concerned about how some...
For example,
Wow,
on this Bushido's cowl helmet, you can see 3 lines by the health stat. You know that health is the stat that we can influence using the tuning slot. It looks like there's a lot of options here, but there's actually only 2. It's pretty simple. Option 1 is balanced tuning. You can slightly increase the 3 lowest stats on this piece of armor at absolutely no cost. This will bump a simple +1 into your 3 current lowest stats on this piece of gear. It seems minimal, sure, but if you did this on 5 pieces, you're really getting +15 stats overall, so it could make a difference. Especially as there's now no wasted stats, it is just a net positive. Option 2 is what we're going to refer to as plus and minus tuning. Whatever stat that piece of gear is attuned to, you can sacrifice another stat of your choice to give it a bump. For example, a plus health minus super would take 5 points out of the super stat and bump it into more health.
Okay.
Last but not least, we have set bonuses. So first, we're going to show you and explain how they've been implemented, and then show some examples of bonuses you can get in-game by using multiple pieces from a specific armor set. Set bonuses are finally making their debut in Destiny 2 after being requested for years and years, and it's been implemented in a pretty straightforward system. Armor sets will have 2 benefits. You gain a bonus when you have 2 pieces of gear equipped, and you will also get a bonus if you manage to
and a class item counts for that, which is phenomenal.
If you like the level 1 bonus from 2 different sets, say you got 2 pieces of the Bushido armor and 2 pieces of the tech set armor set, you would actually get the level 1 bonus from both sets.
Cool.
I really like that they capped the set bonuses at 4 so that your exotic slot is always free to use however you want to suit your build and game style. It kind of would have sucked to have a crazy powerful 5 set bonus that you really wanted to use, but in order to do so, you'd have to run no exotic.
Yeah, wouldn't bother me.
Small side praise to Bungie for having the foresight to cap it at 4. So I'm going to talk you through an example set to show you how these set bonuses work.
Now, I would say, Benny, I'm sorry, I disagree with you. I think we should have a 5 set bonus that is on par, but not quite as good in exotic. So let's take an exotic I run quite a lot in PvP is Ophidian aspects. If you had a 5-piece armor set that was like weapons draw slightly faster, increased melee range, and you got the other item set which is health on kill. If you had all that as a tier 5 set, you wouldn't run the exotic. There'd be no need. So it kind of would negate some exotics, but some other exotics that say creates the falling star, which gives you the increase to super. If you instead of had that, you had the increased range melee stat, or you had the increased super regen when picking up orbs, or just massive stat bumps across the board. You would forgo, with the casual content, you'd forgo your exotic. In in-game stuff, you'd need your exotic because the damage buff is insane. But I reckon they should really venture out to a 5-piece set, and you'll be surprised. It'll be amazing.
Work, and then just show a visual for the other sets so you can see what other bonuses will be available. So for this example, we're going to be taking a look at the Bushido Pinnacle gear set, and as you can see, with 2 pieces from the Bushido set equipped, we'll gain the buff Aido, I think I'm pronouncing it right. Final blows with freshly drawn or reloaded weapons will heal you. If we manage to get 4 pieces from the Bushido set equipped, we'll gain the buff Unfaltering Focus. Bow, shotgun, or sword final blows temporarily reduce incoming damage. Damaging targets with those weapons also extends this effect. I wanted to use this example as I think the 4 set has some viability in the Crucible. Shotgun usage has always been pretty high, and getting a shotgun kill granting you damage resist seems like a pretty neat bonus. So let's say you didn't have a full 4-piece set and your build had any exotic armor piece of your choice, you had 2 pieces of Bushido gear and then 2 pieces of tech set gear. You'd be able to grab the tier 1 bonuses from both of these gear sets as you have 2 of each, meaning both buffs Ido and Rekka would be active at the same time, even though they're from different gear set families. There were a couple more gear sets we had access to in the playlist, like the Aeon Renewal set, and I know you're likely wondering about the redacted Trials of Osiris set that you've seen the cosmetic appearance of in other videos, but understandably, Bungie wanted to keep that one a surprise for you guys to see when the DLC releases. We wanted to mention the sources for the gear sets that I've been allowed to cover. Aeon Renewal is from the new Kepler Destination. Tech set is the set for the base PvE activities in the game. Bushido, which I'm using in most of this gameplay and we use for the example, is the Pinnacle set. And then finally we have the last Discipline set, which we were told is the base PvP set. But I'm actually also in the dark on this one. I didn't get to use it. I have no idea what the set bonuses are.
Okay, 6 from different places. That's
Put your
awesome.
game developer hats on and comment down below what you think would be a good 2 and 4 set bonus for a PvP gear set. I know that
The
was
one
a
that
lot of
heals you as
information
well.
for one video, but please do feel free to ask any questions in the comments down below. And
Well, thank you, Benny, for that video, man. That was fantastic. Love the video. Disagree with you on the 5-piece set, but that's fine. Everyone's entitled to your own opinion, but I'd love to know what you guys think watching this. Do you think we should have a 5-piece set? And also, I want to know what you think about getting the sets from different areas of the game. Because for me, that is awesome. I would hate to only get the sets from, say, running Kepler. Or only running PvP. Or only running Strikes. I like that it's like, the set drops here. So if you're looking for, say, tier 5 Bushido set, you know you need to go here to get it. You want to get a tier 5 Crucible set, you need to go into Crucible and go get it. That is, I think, a really good quality of life change, and I really like how all these stats are changing, because I am looking forward to seeing what builds come out of this. I have some builds I have already pre-prepared that I'm going to be using with hopefully some new armor sets, and really testing the bounds of what's possible. But that's for a future video. But I'd love to know what you guys think. If you guys are excited for this. And if you're not, let me know why not down below. I might make that into a whole separate video. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you all so much for watching. I do appreciate you all. And as always, stay safe. Take care. Bye for now.